Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending on which part of the world you're joining us for this amazing session, where over the next 60 minutes, we are going to be learning so much more about the beautiful country of Costa Rica and how that is an important element for us to understand when we look at the global perspective and opportunities that exist between your nation and Costa Rica. Let me take this opportunity to introduce the people who are with us today and who we are going to spend some time with to understand about these opportunities. First, we have the Vice Minister of Bilateral Affairs and International Cooperation Ambassador, Adriana Boles. She is the minister who also serves as the Director General of Foreign Policy and is an experienced diplomat and has represented Costa Rica in European Union, France, and Latin America as Minister, Consejero, and Consul General for several years. She is also a faculty professor of Masters of Diplomatic Studies at the University of Costa Rica. We will start the evening today by listening to what the Vice Minister has to say about the bilateral opportunities and about the Pura Vida, which is the theme of our event today from a Costa Rican perspective. With that, I'd like to hand over to the Vice Minister for the evening. Work that you've been doing both in the diplomatic area and also in kind of talking to other people. And I was requesting you to start with your opening remarks about Pura Vida. So over to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for this inconvenience. Distinguished friends, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure and honor of being here at this grand annual event, TIE Global Summit 2020, to convey our message. My country, Costa Rica, is willing to foster our bilateral relations with India and its global partners. We all know these are very challenging times that may jeopardize our ability to achieve our sustainable development goals if we do not act promptly. At this inflection point, we cannot go back. We need to go further towards a sustainable and inclusive recovery with technological transformation. This pandemic has reminded us that cooperation and dialogue with key partners are crucial in overcoming our common challenges. In such context, we are compelled to be creative and look for inclusive and smart solutions. For that, Costa Rica is willing to foster intense and mutually beneficial commercial and economic relations with the government, the business community, the academia, and the citizens of the Republic of India. We are grateful for giving us today the opportunity to share our strengths and showcase our capabilities to improve our partnerships. Costa Rica is a stable and democratic country. We've been working for many years to offer better legal protection to all investors and entrepreneurs by setting a ground for dynamic international trade. We account for 15 free trade agreements that govern the country's trade with 51 traded partners, comprising altogether 93.1% of goods exported and 83.6% of goods imported. Close to very important markets, the country offers special conditions to businesses and investments in the fields of advanced manufacturing, life sciences, food industry, services, and of course, well-being. We count upon a very talented multilingual platform of professionals and technicians committed to sustainable and productive solutions, ready to establish an effective ecosystem with our partners. The Costa Rican public health system is based on the principles of equity, solidarity, and universality, and has proven to be very effective in the pandemic. public spending on its universal health system accounts for up to 5.39% of GDP. This investment that the country has made for decades allows Costa Ricans to have a life expectancy at birth of 80.3 years. 95% of the population is covered by medical insurance and has allowed our basic list of medicines to meet the pharmacotherapeutic need of approximately 97% of the population. Health sector and biomedical services have become real catalysts for our development, socially and economically. As in many other countries, we have faced the need to look into innovative solutions with our own academia, research centers, and the private sector to effectively neutralize the negative social and economic impact of the COVID-19. In that process, we have proven scientific research is an essential element of national security, as well as the production of critical goods. By fostering innovation and taking into account our capabilities, we expect to be serving as an excellent location for research and development with regional scope. We foresee, therefore, to be increasing investment in bioeconomy and biotechnology towards an economy with fossil decarbonization, competitiveness, sustainability, and inclusion. Enhancing the national strategy to digital transformation 4.0 and the development of a knowledge-based society has become crucial in partnership with research centers. For example, the Clodomiro Picado Institute of the University of Costa Rica is highly committed to supplying efficient therapeutic solutions, like antivenoms, not only to our country, but also to several countries in Latin America and Sub-Saharan Africa. In Costa Rica, we believe in sustainable development. With 6% of world's biodiversity and 51% of its protected territory, we have incorporated nature-based solutions as part of our National Decarbonization Plan 2050. Our electrical power matrix is based mostly in renewable energy sources and expect new alliances with private partners to achieve our goals. At the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we are strongly committed to an effective economic diplomacy, to working together with our commercial allies, fostering understanding and effective interactions in the pillars of commerce, science, technology, and innovation, tourist attraction and related investments, culture, and academia. We look at the Republic of India as a strategic partner to reactivate our economy by enhancing mutual solidarity, cooperation, and technology transfer. We have the opportunity to set strategic alliances, public-private partnerships, direct investments, and energize our trade. We do have ahead a common agenda. Let's move together towards a greater mutual understanding and honor the friendship that has characterized our two countries. I finally would like to thank Mr. Sridhar Pinapuredi, Chair of the TIE Global Summit, and Mr. Mahavir Sharma, TIE Global Chair, for this kind invitation. It is a really good opportunity, great opportunity for us, for Costa Rica. I now lay the floor to my colleagues from the Costa Rican Foreign Trade Promoting Agency, PROCOMER, and the Coalición Costarricense de Iniciativas para el Desarrollo, CINDE, who will give you a detailed perspective of our trade and investment platform. Again, thank you very much. I wish you all the best during this summit.
Thank you very much, Honorable Vice Minister. And for many of you who in our session may have been wondering at the beginning of the session that we have called this session Pura, Vida. What does that mean? And I had deliberately not talked about it before we had the Vice Minister talk to us because I wanted people to get the context. And now I'll be happy to share with you that Pura Vida is a word which in English means pure life. And we just heard the Vice Minister share with us that what the ingredients of this of this beautiful pure life that we talk about, or Pura Vida, is with health, with English speaking ability, with international trade, security, innovation, R&D, sustainability, technology, and all of this put together is what Costa Rica offers to people. And that's why the term they use in their language is Pura Vida. With that, moving forward, let us now understand a little about the investment that happens. And we already heard the Vice Minister talk about this organization called CINDE. We have Karen Lachner, who's the head of marketing and communication of the Costa Rica Investment Promotion and Development Agency, acronymed as CINDE. CINDE is a private, non-profit, non-political organization which is responsible for the attraction of foreign direct investments into Costa Rica. CINDE was founded in 1982 and have helped hundreds of companies settle and in the process bring major benefits to the country. And we already heard from the Vice Minister about the exports and the imports. And I'm very sure CINDE has had a large role to play in making all of that happen. And Karen within CINDE is responsible for the country value proposition development and leads the entire communication strategy for that organization. And I'd like to invite Karen now to share with us her perspective from CINDE and why we should be looking at Costa Rica from an investment perspective. Over to you, Karen.
Well, thank you very much, everyone, for having us. It's a very valuable space to be able to share our vision on how we as a country see ourselves embedding and collaborating globally with different stakeholders across the world to really lead this focus that the Vice Minister was saying on sustainable development. And you would say it's very strange that we would talk about sustainable development while talking about digital transformation. And as a country, we believe that these two are naturally linked and are enablers one to the other to reach a full and strong development, integral development. So we're going to share today a little bit about that concept that we see as a country, and we would really like to have a strong call to everyone to join us in this effort and see ways where we can collaborate. I'm going to briefly share a little bit of how investment has taken place in the country and how we can drive that digital transformation. So please let me know if you can see the screen.
Yes, we can.
Thank you. So first and foremost, this situation that we had faced during 2020 has shifted everyone's floor and ceiling, actually. And it's shifting the way that we see investment, really. It used to be that we would go and seek greater markets, greater growth. We would seek much more efficiencies. What we're seeing now is a shift on that challenge that companies are looking into globally. So it's just not about seeking a bigger share of the pie, really. It's about looking at how we can leverage and integrate the data that we currently have. It's about seeking much more relevant solutions to our clients, and of course, seeking efficiencies. But first and foremost, it's about how we can leverage and integrate all of those challenges to deliver on a much more integrated and robust solution for clients across different channels and sales channels or experience channels. And so it's about enhancing the customer experience overall to make that difference. How we see that happening is becoming really a leader in human-centered solutions. This has to be around the client. It's really about how we can be customer-centric in the complete sense of the word, and how Costa Rica can be the right partner to deliver on that triple bottom line, really. So it's about that sustainable productivity that we call, which is conformed of people, a prosperous ecosystem, and of course, an environmentally responsible focus that it's really 60 years embedded in our DNA right now in Costa Rica, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. So when you have a very little and very essential, as we say, environment where you can have that dynamic and serve as a breeding lab to create the solutions, and you have this components to get mixing together in a compact environment, it makes it a breeding lab for customer-centric solutions. So all in all, what we see in Costa Rica happening is that we are able to develop very strong industries right now in the digital technologies, medtech, and of course, a layer on environmental, which gathers around a lot of exponential technologies happening right now for Industry 4.0, and that we see currently brewing in our ecosystem. That combined with what you see here as soft skills and resilience and a lot of the capabilities that are embedded within our people, make the right combination of digital and soft skills to be able to drive those changes. So to give you a sense of this prosperous environment, really, we have combined all of these technologies. And so we have right now a leading position in medtech. If I would ask all of our audiences if they know what is the #1 export product of Costa Rica right now, and I would leave you just a brief second to think about it, but surprisingly enough, you would learn now that medtech exports is our country's #1 export product. It no longer is banana, it no longer is pineapple, which we really like, of course, and it's also a growing ecosystem, but it's medtech that's leading our exports. And if I would ask you how that looks as opposed to goods and services, which we'll see, you will learn that we are a services economy. Services lead above goods exports now in the country. So it's a very exciting combination of abilities that we have right now. In the services sector, we've moved from what you would say the traditional back office or corporate functions, now really to what we see as a next wave of shared services and research and development centers as well. So we see services centers delivering excellence processes. We see about 100 different business processes being delivered from Costa Rica in 10 different languages. To do different strategies. For example, there are companies that do so on a follow the sun strategy. Others, of course, have that resilience in place to be able to collaborate globally with their different operations across the globe. And this stance is also a fun fact that has been able to position Costa Rica really as a knowledge economy, as I was saying. And now those services export really double the average of OECD countries. So Costa Rica is actually really a leader in delivering services operations across the globe. If we see this in more detail, about 45% of our exports are services. This year, of course, a lot has changed because tourism used to be also a very strong flagship. It's an industry that has been heavily hit by the pandemic, but of course, this makes up for a lot of knowledge-intensive services. And this is another trivia question that I had here, because if you look at the knowledge-intensive services exports, we're exporting 4.7 billion. And you would think if that's too much or too little, just to give you a reference, we're the 3rd largest in Latin America, just behind Brazil and Argentina. And just to give you a reference, Mexico is 1.3 in knowledge-intensive services. So we more than triple Mexico's exports in knowledge-intensive services. And you would look at our population and see, well, how we do it with just 5 million in population. So it's a really nice environment of landscape that we were able to deliver on the shared services and corporate area. We're right now having over 81,000 people working in the shared services, and it's a continuous growth at about 11% of employment in that sector, with average shared services around 400 people. So it's not just your huge location. We consider ourselves a much more boutique offering, if you would say, to add really condensed and essential value to operations. And this is a very dynamic environment where multinationals are able to leverage different things. For example, we have Amazon operations, which of course we were invited by Munish as well, head of Latin America operations. Amazon Costa Rica is now over 15,000 FTEs in the country, and they do different processes from here, serving from cloud to software to also a lot of merchant account support. Microsoft is another interesting story where they have gone from 80 to 800 FTEs now, servicing a lot of the cloud and Azure, Microsoft Azure processes. Intel Costa Rica has one of the only mega labs of its kind in R&D outside of California. The only one globally is here in Costa Rica as well. And you have companies in virtualization, leaders as VMware and software development. Bridgestone, it's an interesting story too, because even though it's a lot more associated with manufacturing, they have a shared services operation, which actually was a winner of a Shingo Award for operational excellence. So we have 3 companies now in the country who have won global Shingo Awards for operational excellence here in Costa Rica in regards to their global operations. So it's a little bit of a flavor of what we have going on in this ecosystem. So we see IT companies shifting quite a bit from the traditional business processes or finance and accounting now much more towards cloud automation and single instance ERPs. And this, one of the examples that we have is IBM, which has over 300 people working on their America's hub for cybersecurity. That is based in Costa Rica as well. And it delivers a lot of the instance and risk assessment resolutions to the Americas. So as you can see, I've talked a little bit about all of this Industry 4.0 technologies taking place within the country. RPA is also a leading aspect for shared services, with Citibank doing a lot of interesting things here for coding robots for automation in services. And augmented reality by Accenture Division Center of Excellence is based here in Costa Rica and delivers deployment of services to other global operations across the globe. So how do we became able to do this? Really, it's a lot of openness to digital services trade. We're the most open country in regards to OECD countries for digital trade. And this circumstance has also allowed us to be very flexible and responsive. Being a smaller scale is a strategic partner on resilience as well. We are able to move much more agilely than other ecosystems. So as you can see, we just wanted to give you a flavor of what our year was. And it was a very tough year for everyone, believe us. But if we see, actually this year, we added almost 15,000 jobs created during the pandemic in this sector, specifically in investment, with ITC services and corporate services growing almost 10% in corporate and 6% in ITC. And then the medtech sector, which was a bumpy ride as well, with a lot of non-required therapies having a lagging stance during the pandemic, now, as we see in aggregate, are growing at 4%. So we were able to move very quickly the first month of the pandemic here in Costa Rica. Nearly 98% of the services companies working 100% virtually under the free trade zone incentive regime. So companies were able to ensure business continuity at the same time. And it's all about the talent. If you look at it, it's about the people that are willing to be responsive and adapt to change. So it's not just what the Vice Minister said about us not having a standing army and dedicating our resources to health and education, but also our people's availability and dynamic to adapt to change, to be digitally and tech savvy, and to command different languages so that we can continue to connect to the world even in these tough situations that we face. Again, it's because a lot of mobile penetration and internet availability that was an enabler as well. But we do a lot of, not only in the digital skills and innovation aspect, but we do a lot of design on future thinking of jobs. And this would be also a call to continue collaborating even with international academia, but also with corporate learning centers, because what we do is do a gap analysis of the skills that are required by investing companies, and then of course deploy a lot of different programs, be it vocational orientation to lure to more STEAM areas, but also enhance language programs such as Skills for Life, which is an alliance with over 50,000 people involved with the Ministry of Labor. And then, of course, we also have internships so that people can experience different job processes as well. So all of this is a monitoring and gap analysis that drives us to have different areas, for example, launching recruiting programs and outplacement. One thing that we did is move people from the tourism industry to the labor industry in our space to be able to tap into the opportunities that were open on FDI companies and that were lost in the tourism sector. And we work also very closely with Coursera on a workforce recovery program with 50,000 scholarships for jobs of the future, and designed 44 learning paths customized to the jobs of the future so that we could retrain and reskill people in these areas. So a lot of what I said is strategic alliances for talent building. We do so with several companies and local and international academia as well, like Georgia Tech, Stout, Rice University, Fraunhofer Institute in Germany, or Zaragoza University from Spain, among several others. So it's about building a stronger ecosystem, not just competing within companies, but these are ecosystems competing against each other, and how we can build a much more resilient stance. And to close off, definitely the last P of our perspective is planet, because a lot of these developments in technology need to enhance the way we live and drive sustainability development goals. This allows for companies, for example, in the digital sector, in our stance, to be able to operate in a framework that is 99% clean energy generated, and of course, a very diverse and carbon neutral committed environment. We now have several of the renewable energy 100s operating in the country. These are companies committed to lowering their footprint. And if you see quite a bit of them, it's just not about the hype of manufacturing. A lot of them have to do with technology-driven transformation. So we want to invite you, everyone, to be able to share this vision and how we can do really a strong convergence of these technologies within our own spaces of work, to drive that really well-being and human-centered solutions for everyone. So thank you on behalf of Cindy. We would love to take any questions that you would want to have at this point, and more than welcome to hear and share your thoughts as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Karen, for the wonderful perspective that hello. Josh, thank you very much for that wonderful perspective that you gave us.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much for that perspective. And with that, learning a little more about what we said earlier, the pure life, and why Costa Rica has become such an important place in terms of trade and the wonderful work that's happening at Sinde. At this stage, I understand our Vice Minister, Adriana Boles, needs to leave for another engagement that she has. So we would like to take this opportunity to thank her for joining us and sharing her thoughts, her vision, and her perspective about why, as an entrepreneurial world from around the globe, we should be looking at Costa Rica. So thank you very much, ma'am, for joining us, Honorable Vice Minister. And we wish you all the best, and I'm sure you will see a lot more people considering Costa Rica to start doing some business with you all. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts and perspectives with us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much, ma'am. With that, let's move on to the next part of our evening, which is to talk and understand a little bit about the Costa Rica Trade Promotion Authority, which is the agency called as Procomer. Procomer is a government agency which is responsible for the country's exports, trade facilitation, and free trade zones. Mr. Pedro Perote is the gentleman who heads this as the CEO of Procomer. He also serves as the president of the Costa Rica country brand and president of the 23 Latin American Trade and Investment Promotion Agencies Council, which is called Redibero. So he is going to come and share with us about a small country with a huge vision and take us through that. Over to you, Mr. Pedro.
Thank you, Vivek, and hello to everyone. I'm sharing a screen now. I hope you can see my presentation. Yeah, I will try to do in this 10, 15 minutes a combination of what our Vice Minister said together with what Karen has explained. As you know, Costa Rica is a very small country in Central America with only 5 million people population, but high levels of literacy, middle income country with a GDP per capita of $18,000. We, by law, have decided not to explore oil, gas, nor minerals. So we had to look for alternative ways to develop our society. Recently, not many years not ago, we were ranked as the happiest country on earth by different rankings, and this is the kind of publicity that we're getting from great media outlets like National Geographic. Costa Rica is positioned or is known worldwide as a country of well-being, where people that comes here or lives here can enjoy both nature and adventure. We're a tourism destination in Latin America with more than 3 million visitors coming to Costa Rica to enjoy our mountains, our volcanoes, our beaches, our rivers, our rainforest, and so on. However, that's not all about Costa Rica. The reason why we have high levels of happiness together with social development is because we have made important decisions in the past, as it was explained by my previous colleagues. We are the oldest democracy in Latin America, 70 years without an army, 98% literacy, with high investments in education. Every uh, child in Costa Rica has access to free and mandatory education, universal healthcare, of course, sustainability. We have had this vision of protecting our environment for a very long time, and we are open to trade. We have free trade agreements with more than 50 countries, which gives us access to 2.5 billion consumers, which is two-thirds of global GDP. Our sector is organized in three main agencies or entities. One is the Ministry of Trade, which is responsible for public policy. Second, CINDE, which Karen represents and is responsible for FDI attraction. And third, Procomer, which I represent. We are responsible for trade as well as the free trade scheme, among many other things. Costa Rica is a country that has evolved from just sending coffee to Europe to sending 4,000 different products to the whole world. We are a country that has evolved from innovation, and that has helped us to diversify our exports model. In yellow, you can see the agricultural products and then how it has evolved over the last decades to a more diversified product offer together with services. This has helped our exports to grow, to double in just 10 years and to create 1 million jobs. Most of our exports go to the US, together with Canada and Mexico, followed by Central America and the European Union. In terms of products and services, tourism represents almost 1/5. Excuse me, the wrong spelling there. Uh, Together with business services, medical devices, as Karen was saying, IT services, and some delicious fruits and vegetables. It is a role model on how the country has evolved from just like basic manufacturing to high value added advanced manufacturing and services, from pure back office call centers to really share services, R&D, data analysis, etc. Our strategy has been differentiation within the region. We are in a region known for its instability, and here it's the opposite. We have good level of both economic and social stability, and that has helped us position our values, which are excellence, sustainability, innovation, social progress. The agency that I represent, Procomer, has, together with Cindy, been recognized as model agencies to the world by the International Trade Center. And our job is to basically help companies do business in Costa Rica. So anyone interested in doing business in Costa Rica gets this support, sponsorship, guidance on how to go through the different processes. We have what is known as a single window of investment, in which basically in a one-stop shop, you can get all the advice on how to get all the different approvals to operate in Costa Rica within law. Also, as Karen was saying, our vision and our position is around developing businesses with purpose, people, planet, and prosperity. We are evolving from progress to sustainable progress, from simple basic manufacturing to advanced manufacturing, from national security to social security, from cloud forests to cloud computing, from blue zones. Costa Rica has one of the only 5 blue zones in the world where people live longer, better, happier. 2 blue zones of blue oceans of innovations, from generating wealth to generating well-being. And because talent is our oil. We don't have oil there, but we have very high skilled people that can help businesses succeed here in Costa Rica, while keeping this balance between economic progress and social progress. As Joseph Stiglitz, Nobel Prize winner in economics, said, development has to do with the transformation of people's lives, not just with the transformation of economies. And that's kind of the vision we have, the positioning we have, is to build value through our values. So that was kind of a wrap-up summary between what Vice Minister Bolaños, together what Karen had commented, and we're happy to help everyone interested on doing business with Costa Rica or in Costa Rica. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pedro, for that wonderful perspective that you shared with us about why Costa Rica talks about pure life once again. At this point, I would actually request if any of you have questions for either Karen or Pedro to actually keep sending that to us, and we will spend the next few minutes taking some of the questions that we've getting from you. And I know while I did in a very short description describe the word Pura Vida, but I would request Karen, maybe if you can spend a few minutes to talk about this word, because a lot of people want to understand why is this so important from a Costa Rican perspective. Karen?
Yes, of course. It is a lot of a jargon when you come here and you hear people greet you as Pura Vida, and then they say goodbye saying Pura Vida. And then they, when you ask if everything's all right, they say Pura Vida as well. But really, it's a lot about what we talked about now. It's having that triple bottom line where talent, as Pedro said, is our core. Really, we took a commitment in 1948 to abolish our army, and everything is devoted to health and education. So it's a lot of our spending, as you can see, and it has to do nowadays, it's just not about spending on education by itself. A lot of our countries represented here today, we face the same challenges. Everybody talks about the jobs of the future, but really, do we really know what those will be? So it's about building that talent platform. That's what we're trying to do. We not necessarily have the entire responses to what those jobs are or currently, but we surely are making a talent platform so that we can produce them and adapt and reskill and retool for those jobs of the future. So definitely has to do with that, and for an environment which is peaceful and as you saw and I shared, that is resilient. Of course, we have our challenges, as everybody does, but it's also about being able to adapt and be in a quiet, peaceful environment. This for Costa Rica is very rare. We're in a region that traditionally has had a lot of challenges politically and the like. In our case, that hasn't been. We almost next year will celebrate our 200 years of democracy. So it's a huge milestone as well. And that has to do with why Pura Vida is in place, to take care of our people, and hopefully we'll be able to do so as well, leading sustainability for the world as well.
Thank you very much. And I guess for those of you who wanted to understand what Pura Vida really means, that's what it means. And Karen, thank you for that perspective even around people and the talent. And I think that leads to another question which we have from the audience, which is, what are the top 3 important factors about the talent that exists in Costa Rica? And I'd like both of you to share your perspectives around that. So Karen, maybe you can go first, and then we'll also get Pedro to share some thoughts around that.
Well, I'll focus a lot about CINDE's efforts in investment climate in itself, and this has to do with these alliances. Again, not all countries have every single skill required right now, and we understand we're very compact as well. So what we do is build relations and build a collaborative environment. We invite multinationals to share their academic stance within. Also put them together and have collaborative efforts with local academia. And then, of course, bring international ones so that you can have that R&D environment to be able to deliver on the talent that's required. Pedro, I don't know if you want to enhance a little bit of this.
Yes, thank you, Karen. Referring specifically to talent, Vivek, that you asked, what makes our talent special? I think it's a combination of things. Number one, of course, education. Free, mandatory education for everyone. That helps develop the overall country skill sets. Number two, the fact that we are open for international business has helped us develop a bilingual society. Compared to other countries in Latin America, Costa Rica has a high percentage of people that speaks English and more languages. So that helps also gain points in the quality of our talent. Three, values. Costa Rica is a country that has been built on these values around peace, democracy, respect for the environment, universal healthcare, and so on. And that is part of our values that help us also be good citizens of the world, good people. Four, I would say family ties. Costa Rica, as a small society, has strong family ties, and that also helps develop a good set of values. Fifth, I would say we have a lot of universities and technical study centers that helps us, our population, get access to higher education, both private and public high-end education. Sixth, I would say our talent is also capable because we have a large group of multinational companies that operate here in Costa Rica, so that it's a great school, working for Intel or Microsoft or McKinsey or many of these companies increases the level of expertise, of talent of our people. Just to mention six reasons why our talent is special, Vivek.
Thank you very much.
One
And I
thing,
think,
if I may
yes,
add,
sorry.
one thing that we've been doing that has paid off quite a bit in multinational environments is diversity. And women inclusion in the workforce is very relevant for us. Efforts have been recognized. Actually, this week, UNCTAD gave recognition to Costa Rica for their efforts on gender equality. And it's paid off because, as you know, and in any study that you had seen on Deloitte or McKinsey, diversity drives innovation. So definitely having a much more inclusive environment. We've been working not only on gender, but also certain specialty or special people, things like Asperger. So we're working with Intel to add this type of profiles. So it's just not physical disabilities, but also mental disabilities with very strong skills for example, data analytics. These are people that are super talented in data analytics. So why not, make environments much more receptive to this type of diversity, 40+ programs or youth programs as well. So it's very important to keep that balance in the spectrum of people that you have on that talent pool as well.
Thank you very much, Karen and Pedro. It almost feels like I think for the rest of the time we have on this panel, I should spend my energy to be talking to both of you to see how do I immigrate to Costa Rica and settle down there. That's the beauty of that country. It almost seems like that the decision needs to be taken now. So fantastic work that you people are doing. Another question that we have, and maybe both of you again can give me some perspectives on this, is about the whole cultural affinity and the strategic mindset of Costa Rica, US. There is the proximity, but there is so much diversity in the way you operate, in the way the environment is. So can you talk to us a little, because a lot of times people have that question too, with the geographic proximity, but in terms of mindset, there is so much difference. So maybe if you could share a little bit about the cultural affinity and mindset specific to US and Costa Rica.
Karen, do you want to talk or want me to?
No, well, in my part, I think it was very helpful that our country became a flagship for sustainable tourism quite over 30 years ago or more. If you look at our stats for 2019, we were receiving over 3.5 million tourists, and we're 5 million people. So we're pretty much accustomed to having visitors from all across the globe. And that in itself provides us with a much more open personality, if you would say, to talking to different people and learning about their culture while visiting. So I think it is a good stance that it's naturally embedded in our profile as well.
Yeah, I would say diversity is the key. US, to answer your specific question, it's a huge country, big country, and there's a lot of diversity even within the US. So for some part of the US population, society, business, Costa Rica seems to be very attractive, right? Not just because our location, same time zone, but also because we are 2 hours away flight from Florida, 3.5 from Texas, 5 hours to New York, 6 hours to California. Because of that sense of purpose that we as a country have. We're a little country, 5 million people, 52,000 square kilometers. That's very small within the global context, but we offer something that is different. We offer hope of building a better society that protects the people, the environment, that believes in democracy, that it's open for business. And for that, it is that we find a common ground with parts of the US society that is wanting that as well, or even companies that are very conscious about the way they do business with purpose. Here we've mentioned that, for example, as part of our sustainable strategy, all our electricity, 99% of our electricity comes from renewable sources. So you can have a large factory or a big office with air conditioning and with machines, and they all are powered by rivers, by wind, by geothermal energy, right? So that is important for some people, from some businesses, right? Running your business on 100% renewable energy, it's part of doing well to humanity.
Rican, if I may add as well, one thing is that, as Pedro was saying, we're so compact that we very quickly learned that we needed to be very open to the globe. And this openness, I would like to clarify, it's not only with the US. Costa Rica is the one of very few countries in the Americas that has free trade agreements with the US, with Canada, with the EU, entire EU, but we also have a very strong relation with Asia. We have a free trade with China, we have a free trade with Singapore, and we have a free trade with South Korea. So if you see us, we talk with everyone, we mingle with everyone, and we do trade with everyone. So we're actually a very strategic point of connection between those two regions. Asia for one part from the Pacific, and then of course 4 hours, you have just 5 hours and you cross from the Pacific to the Atlantic, and then you can have trade with the eastern seaboards of US as well. So a lot of companies that we see in the smart manufacturing cluster in Costa Rica are able to have that affinity because they import quite a bit of production goods from Asia. And then we transform them at value and do end products that are shipped globally to Europe or US as well. So just wanted to clarify that our openness is of course, US is a main trade partner for us, so definitely affinity there, but we are very open to collaborating with a lot of countries.
Fantastic. Once again, I think for those of us who are looking at nearshoring to US, I think you are presenting a phenomenal story that people can look at. I think before we wind up, I have one question for each of you, and would request if you can kind of very shortly, a very short manner, tell me. So if I was to come to you, Pedro, first and say, if you were to look at for someone considering Costa Rica, how would you say the cost comparison between US and Costa Rica be? If you were to just share a few thoughts about that.
We are competitive, and that's the reason why we have these many multinational companies here in Costa Rica, right? It's a cost-benefit ratio. And of course, it will depend on where are you coming from. If you're coming from California, from New York, or from Tennessee, it will be more or less competitive. But again, not just from a cost perspective, but from a value perspective, you're getting a lot because you're getting a free trade agreements, because you're getting stability, because you're getting talent, because you're getting business with purpose, and so on. But yes, we're still lower cost than the US in general.
And you're getting Pura Vida. You
Yes,
forgot that.
we
Yeah.
are the happiest country on earth.
That's and coming to you, Karen, your last question for you would be: if we leave the last 9 months, because we all understand that these have been difficult times, but otherwise, what role does tourism play for Costa Rica? And if I was to ask you, which are the two places people should consider from a tourism perspective to visit Costa Rica?
Well, I think the beauty of it is that's also a lot of diversity that we're being able to have within the country. So you can have people experience the beach side of the Pacific, the more luscious part of the Caribbean in just 5-hour drives, or you can go up to the mountains and actually have like the Andean experience of Chiripo, which is one of the furthest tips. So you can have cloud forest, rainforest, beaches in a very small drive across the country. So I think that's another thing that's been interesting, because now that you can see the pandemic has incentivized people to assess work from everywhere. And we were able to, as I said, demonstrate that, we have 100% of our 80,000 people, multinationals, working from home. You can do so from everywhere or anywhere in the country and experience those environments as well. So the digital nomads are becoming very interesting for us as well. And you're able to do so as well, as I said, using the incentives of free trade zone. We do have a free trade zone incentives for investment as well. That is very flexible for services operations as well as manufacturing, and that in itself, adding to Pedro's comments, of course, offers a very compelling and competitive stance. This free trade incentive has been revised by OCDE. It's in alignment with World Trade Organization standards and BEPS practices. So, it's a clean and very straightforward incentives program. And you can use it, multinationals can use it in very diverse ways. Amazon is a great example on how they have over 1,000 employees working remotely, 100% remotely within the country, and they have people in the very southern parts or very northern parts, everyone enjoying their own environment and tourism attractions while working for IT leaders globally, as Amazon is.
Thank you very much. I think it's been a wonderful session, and I think it's time now that we close the session and I start getting into a conversation with you to discuss how do I move to Costa Rica. But before I do that, I think it's been a wonderful speaking to both of you, and also from the Vice Minister earlier. And I think for a lot of people, these are important parameters. And I think as a country, you have really put the focus where it should be, because 98% literacy, no army, democracy, focus on health, focus on education, innovation, R&D, such a phenomenal international trade. And what I like the most is about the focus on sustainability. When you said, the power that is being generated from wind, from water, I think such a fantastic balance that you've been able to maintain. And no wonder that the average life expectancy is 80 years plus in Costa Rica. And you have 98% literacy, you have 97% health coverage. I think these are critical parameters which really make a difference for a country. And economics, you already shared a lot about today in terms of how people can benefit. So thank you very much, Karen, and thank you very much, Pedro, for highlighting some of these things. And I'm sure a lot of our audience today have got a better glimpse into Costa Rica, and you may start seeing some inquiries coming from them. So thank you very much for joining us today, and wish you all the best. And for those of you who are looking at opportunities, I think Costa Rica is something you may want to consider going forward. With that,
Thank you
I'd
very
like to
much.
bring our session to a close. Thank you very much, Pedro. Thank you very much, Karen.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you.